I was in the position where I was working the days and hours that I wanted, and I had fairly consistent projects of different types, not that many email projects at the time, plenty of repeat clients, but something made me feel stuck. And I was in this uncomfortable growth stage where I knew I wanted to niche into emails, but I sort of wasn't really sure how to make that leap and establish myself in a new niche, and also how to offer a premium service and premium pricing. I wanted to charge premium pricing. So I was in this stage where I kind of had a vision of where I wanted to be, but I didn't know how to bridge that gap on how to get there.
Hey, thank you for joining me today. I have Zoe Heard, the Like a Boss graduate, and she's absolutely wonderful. Hey, Zoe.
Hey, man.
Hey, so as you can probably hear, I have baby still in the background. He's been very good while I was talking to Melissa, so hopefully he'll be very quiet here. We might hear some giggling, some coughing, but we'll be okay. So thank you so much for joining us, Zoe. I am really excited to talk. No, thank you. I'm so excited to talk about your experience. So first of all, before we kind of get started, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do now.
So I'm Zoe Heard and my business is Get Heard. I'm a copywriter based in Canberra, Australia. And my niche is writing e-commerce emails, strategy and copy for retailers that sell products for the home and products for children.
I love how specific that is. It's wonderful. So tell me a little bit about where you were at before you joined the mastermind and where your business was at before you joined the mastermind.
So before I joined Like a Boss, I was stuck. I was in the process of niching into emails. It was an idea that I'd had that I wanted to do. I'd been a copywriter for about 4 years and I'd taken on a lot of different types of projects and worked out that there were a few types of projects I will never do again, but that's all part of the experience, right? And realized that I loved the couple of email projects that I had done. So I was in the position where I was working the days and hours that I wanted, and I had fairly consistent projects of different types, not that many email projects at the time. Plenty of repeat clients, but something made me feel stuck. And I was in this uncomfortable growth stage where I knew I wanted to niche into emails, but I sort of wasn't really sure how to make that leap and establish myself in a new niche, and also how to offer a premium service and premium pricing. I wanted to charge premium pricing. So I was in this stage where I kind of had a vision of where I wanted to be, but I didn't know how to bridge that gap on how to get there. I'd started a few things and started rearranging things in my website and things in my business. And it was like that stage when you're decluttering your wardrobe where you pull everything out of the wardrobe and throw it all on the bed and decide which things you want to keep and which things you don't want to keep, and then try to reorganize them back into a nice wardrobe at the end. It was like that with my business.
I love that analogy. You're so good with words. That's exactly what it's like. So how did you think I could help with that? And what were you hoping to get from the mastermind? And how did you think it would help with that?
Well, being a copywriting buddy of yours, because we started our businesses around the same time, I was on maternity leave during the year that your business took off like a rocket. And I watched that, very interested from the sidelines, and I wanted to know how you did it. And I remember you ran it was like a little webinar or some sort of 1-hour class on how you catapulted your business in the space of less than 12 months. And I remember emailing you afterwards or giving feedback on the webinar saying, I kind of want you to be my business coach now. I want to know more about how you did it.
Okay, I just need to let anyone listening know that that masterclass is still available for you to listen to and watch. It's called 5 Steps to Catapulting Your Business, and you can get it. You can get it right now on my website. Head over to the Learn With Me section and you can watch that. And that gives you, I think, like a little intro into just what I'm about, what I, do. You may have already watched it already. What Zoe, kind of hearing your feedback, honestly, was one of the things that gave me the push I needed to start this mastermind. And talking to you and just hearing that you would actually be, interested in seriously learning from me on a bigger scale was like, wow, maybe I should try this. Maybe I should try it. So thank you for all the feedback and thoughts you gave me. And I actually interviewed Zoe as like a voice of customer interview before I created the mastermind. And I spoke to quite a few copywriters who gave me a bunch of ideas. And then I created the mastermind and based this creation off of the feedback that people like you, Zoe, gave me. So thank you. So tell me what your experience of the mastermind was once you joined. Oh, wait, no, before that, I want to talk about the price tag, because you were one of the people. Let me not ruin it. Tell me about the price tag. How did you feel about the investment?
So when let's go back before I got to the price, obviously I read the sales page to the mastermind. And because you're such an amazing sales page writer, and because you've done so much voice of customer research, reading that sales page, you were speaking to my soul. And you literally were, it was written for me. I was your exact target customer, and people in my stuck phase of knowing that I wanted to grow my business and not really knowing exactly how. You spoke to my soul because you were using my words. And that's the power of voice of customer research and how you do it so well. So reading that sales page, I got down halfway through, and of course I knew I had to join because it answered every question that I had, and you promised to teach me all the things that I needed to know to get out of this stuck phase. So by the time I got to the price tag, I didn't know in advance what you were going to be charging for it. I knew it wasn't going to be a small amount. I knew it was going to be an investment. And I got to the price, and because I think you write it in pounds, and I had to jump onto the currency converter because I have no idea what pounds equates to. And when I put it into the currency converter and I saw the price, I expected, as I was typing it, to feel something. I expected to feel surprised or maybe disappointed that I might not be able to afford it or something like that. But when I saw the price, I didn't feel that. I saw the price and thought, you know what, for all the things that Iman is going to teach me, this investment is going to be worth it. I can manage this price and it's going to be worth it. I'm going to get serious value out of that investment.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And actually, you were the very first person to join, the number one person to save that spot. And I was so excited it was you, because like you said, we go back a long time. We've known each other for so long. You were actually one of my first copywriting friends when I first kind of joined the copywriting industry. And so like when I think of you, I think of just community and friendship within the copywriting community. So it meant a lot that you joined. And so you just said, you promised that you would be able to get me out of this stuck phase. I make some promises on that page. Did I deliver is the key question.
Yes, you did. You delivered, and then some more. So it's like just the amount of change that is going to happen in my business in the next 6 months is going to be massive. And I can already feel an internal change in how I'm approaching things and the attitude that I have and what I see as a possibility. The things that I thought I was aiming for when I went into the mastermind are now like the floor of what I'm expecting, because I've increased my expectations so far.
Wow, that is amazing. That is absolutely amazing to hear. Okay, so I'm gonna quote back to you one of the testimonials that we have from you on the sales page. You have like the top kind of slot on the sales page. So Zoe says, I was fully booked for 6 weeks into the future. Like a Boss is one of the best investments you could make in your business and in yourself. I was fully booked for 6 weeks into the future, the first time that's happened, and I was booking higher value projects, including my first 5,000 AUD dollar project. I think for the rest of my career, there'll be a clear before and after split, with Like a Boss being the defining moment for everything that happens next. I mean,
and that still stands. That still stands.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, I mean, just blown away by that. One of the other testimonials I have from you on sales pages about the Slack group. And you said the Slack group is filled with so much love. I guess I didn't give it much thought and kind of dismissed this Slack feature as being a possibly ho-hum part of the program, an inclusion, but one that might not have much value. Instead, Iman created an environment filled with so much love, which sounds odd for a group of people from all over the world who had never met in real life and had only just met online, but there it is. So tell me a little bit about the community aspect for you as well.
So I've been in other programs where the Slack group was advertised as a big feature of the program, that you can get support from the coach or mentor and you can chat with other participants. But the programs and courses that I did before yours, I didn't get that from the Slack group. Whereas with yours, even though we had people from different time zones, and there was some people in some American time zones who I didn't get to chat with much, but I got to know them through messages on Slack. There was something about the way that you, I don't know, maybe it's the people who are drawn to you, or the type of people who, yeah, it's hard to say what it is. Maybe it's the people who are drawn to you have this warmth about them that they wanted to share, and they were happy to get vulnerable. And it started off with self-introductions, who you are, where you're from, and things like that. We had a few live calls, so we got to know each other through those. And then as we started working through the content, people started unlocking things in their brains and their businesses, and they were sharing breakthroughs and struggles and uncovering limiting beliefs and things like that. That was just amazing. Everyone shared their big, hairy, audacious goals, and we were then able to support each other, which was just beautiful. I've never been in another group quite like that one at that point. It was amazing.
Thank you for saying that. And I also want to say that you share so much of yourself. Like, you're such a great person to have in a community like that. So thank you for bringing all that you did. And it's so lovely of you to say that maybe it's that I draw certain people and characters to me. What I love most is that, yes, I draw, I think, a range of people from all different backgrounds. Firstly, I love that so much. And the other thing that I love is that I draw people who, okay, so people from all different backgrounds. First of all, I love it. My groups are so inclusive and diverse. I also love that I attract people who like just randomly, quit their full-time jobs and threw themselves into the copywriting world like I did. So we share that little like same streak of craziness. And the other thing that I love is that I attract mothers. I attract mothers and parents, yes, and fathers as well. And I attract parents, and I love that. And it's such a huge part of who I am and what we're able to connect on that level so well. And I understand, the struggles and the realities of being a parent, which I think some other programs don't quite get. Sometimes they can be unrealistic for parents because it's like, hey, hi, I'm here, I'm a parent, this is impossible for me. So tell me a little bit about, well, you're a mum, tell me a little bit about how you felt seen as a mother. And also, I guess one thing you said in the mastermind was that you are happier. And that was one of the biggest, like one of the best pieces of feedback or wins that anyone gave me, because that happiness is just something that I mean, let's talk about that for a little bit.
So a lot of that was about seeing the way that you had structured your business, particularly your VIP offer, to suit your life, working around, at the time you had one child and another on the way, and seeing what you could do running your business in sort of essentially full-time, but client hours were not full-time client hours. You weren't packing your week with 40-hour weeks, because let's face it, who can work like that as a parent? It's exhausting. So I took a lot of inspiration from your model and adapted my business plan to suit a way that I thought was going to work for me. And for me, the sweet spot is 3 days a week of working time. But it turns out I can't pack my week with 3 full days of client work and nothing else. So a little bit of background about what's been happening for me in the last 6 months is the week that we wrapped the Like a Boss Mastermind, my city went into lockdown. So I had epic plans and I was so energized to start this new phase of my business, because you'd given me the roadmap of what I needed to do. I was already moving past this stuck phase. I'd set up a VIP day offer. I'd sold 5 VIP days in the space of, I think it was about 6 weeks, and delivered them. And it was great. And I felt amazing doing those. And then lockdown happened. And it just sucked the wind out of my sails. I remember being on the call to you in tears, because, you know, that happens when all of your plans get dashed, and being so disappointed. I think I went through all the stages of grief in the space of about a week for my business, that I'd invested all this time and all this energy and, you know, a significant amount of money into transforming my business. And I was ready to do it. And then I got stopped. So at that point, my family decided, my husband's a doctor, so he needed to keep working. We decided that I would pause my business, because being a business owner, I had the ability to do that. And my job became keeping my kids safe and homeschooling and keeping them home from school and daycare. So that first week was really disappointing. But now that I've got all the information that you gave me and the skills that you gave me, I'm now ramping back up after this pause, like an extra parental leave, but without the sleepless nights. I've got all the tools I need to ramp my business back up in a way that suits my family. So coming back to how I want to work as a parent is working 3 days a week. Once my little one goes back to daycare, that's what I will work. But I've modified my work schedule. So I'll have a 4-week rolling schedule, which includes a 3-day busy week for a big project. Then the following week, just 1 client day and 2 admin, marketing, onboarding, offboarding days, so that if the entire week of the big week gets spoiled by, you know, a sick child or an isolation period or something like that, I've then got a buffer, because I need to build that into my business at this phase of life to be able to catch up a couple of days if something goes really wrong. So it gave me a lot of confidence that I could structure my business however was going to work for me. And having this kind of busy week alternating with a lighter week means that things don't completely, well, I hope they won't, I haven't tested the model yet, but that things won't completely fall apart if we have a really bad week where everyone has gastro or something.
And I'm so glad that we're talking about this. Thank you for sharing this, because I think it's so important to talk about what happens when when life happens, when something in life, it could be anything, COVID, you know, especially with the years that 2020 and 2021 brought, and we're still kind of not out of it really in 2022. We're only just getting back to normal, kind of ish. So important to just talk about what happens with your business when life happens. It could be, you know, something, you know, tragic happening in the family, or, you know, sometimes it could just be that you need to have a break. Like you just need to stop for whatever reason. Anything could happen. And so I love, and on that call that we spoke about, that you mentioned, where you kind of brought this to me at the time, we spoke about this, and I loved that you did what was best for your family and what you needed to do. And it was so hard for you. And I felt your pain so much, because you are so ambitious and you are a woman with a plan. Like you have a plan and you execute, and you're amazing. And to have something that is not in your control just bring everything to a halt and a pause, it's really hard. So thank you for sharing that. I'm interested to know how you think the mastermind has prepared you for kind of what comes next. You said, I think we spoke about this a little bit before we started recording, it feels like you feel optimistic about heading back to work. Does that sound correct?
I can't wait to get back to work. I really can't wait. So this sort of period where things have settled down a bit, we're going to send our little one back to daycare in about May. I've secured up to 10 hours a week of Nana babysitting for that time until daycare feels safe again. So I've got a plan for those 10 hours a week. I tried to go from a stage of time lack, time scarcity. And since working with you in Like a Boss, I did a program with Linda Perry. I did the Scale for Success mindset program, which was also fantastic and transformative in a completely different way. So one thing that I worked on with Linda was beating my limiting belief of time scarcity. So instead of I don't have time, which is my default setting, I went from that to, okay, I've got 100 hours of Nana babysitting time over 10 weeks. What can I get done in 100 hours? And so I made a list in order of importance, and I'm working through that list. So that's things like writing new website copy in my new niche, setting up my own email marketing list, because what kind of email marketer am I if I don't have my own list? So this was a problem for me. I need to do that and prove that I can do it to my clients, because the first thing they're going to do is check out my email list and how I run mine. So I'm setting that up. Getting settled into Instagram, where I'm extremely haphazard at the moment. I need to start planning all of those. So I've got documents of brain dump of all the things I can talk about on Instagram, ideas and little subject lines for emails and things like that. So I'm storing all this content so that when it comes time to really launch that stuff, I just go to the list and pick a topic to write about today or this week. So I've got all of these tools. I know what I need to set up. I know I need to fix up contracts. I know I need to really, as you say, control the narrative of how I'm presenting myself now in my new niche. Now, that's not to say I won't take on projects that are outside of my new niche, but I probably won't be talking about them. That'll just be between me and those clients, probably past clients who I still adore and want to work with again, even though they're not the path for my future business. So in that kind of transition period, working with a few different types of businesses, because it's not necessarily easy to say, okay, from this date, I'm never taking any more projects that are not in my new niche, because there are still things that I love to do.
Yes, I love that. I love that. This is something that we talk about in the mastermind, right? I think listening to you, Zoe, the biggest difference for me is that before we started the master, because I mean, you've always been the same motivated, ambitious, high achiever. You've always been that. For me, the difference is that I think before the mastermind, you were very uncertain about your future. You were very certain about your potential. You knew that you had the potential, but you're uncertain about where the future was going to take you. And now today, listening to you, you sound very certain, again, about your potential, but also where you're going. Does that sound accurate?
I've got the plan. I've got the vision, and now I've got the plan of how to get there. You've helped me bridge that gap. And one of the things that I tested out, that I did have time to test out while we were in the middle of the program, was the setting up of the VIP day, which was a big transformative moment for me, because I remember saying to you at the beginning of the program, I hate writing proposals. I hate it. I procrastinate it. I take too long when I do start. I try to overthink every part of the proposal and then undercut the amount of money. So it's just, proposals for me are this slightly toxic place where I was doing myself in. I was causing more problems for myself doing proposals. So the VIP day model was great because I was able to set that up without ever advertising that it was a thing. I picked a price that I was happy with for, so this sort of borders between a VIP day in it being a premium offer and being a day rate. So some of them were more of a day rate type of offer, where I picked a rate and said, this project that this client was asking me about is something I don't want to write a proposal for, and the kind of thing that I could do in about a day. So it was things like brochure edit, website update and rewrite, and things like that. So I was testing out a model like that, sent them how it works, sent them the price, and they said yes. And I was like, it shouldn't be this easy. How could it be that easy? Did the VIP day where I set aside the day, sat down, did the work, motored through it, because I am fast when I get going without distractions. I am solid and I'm fast. Got to the end of the day, sent off a recorded video of where I got up to, saying, here's what I've done, here's what I've changed, here's where it's up to. Didn't finish this part, as we discussed. It's a time-based deliverable. Here's what you need to do next. Tap, 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 press send, out the door for daycare pickup at 4:45. And I bounced out the door. It was great. I didn't feel drained. I felt energized at the end of a 6 hours of writing day. And it was amazing. And I realized this is the way I want to work in the future. Not necessarily the one day thing, but the one client a day, small intensives. I loved it.
You know what I love about that? Well, there's so much, but one thing that stood out to me was these projects that were coming to you were from, I think actually maybe a couple of them were from new clients, but I remember some of them being old clients, and they weren't your ideal projects, like ideal email projects, but these were projects that you knew you were good at, and you knew that you could do, and you wanted to do, but you didn't want to be creating like a whole new system and process for it. And like you said, creating a proposal for, which, by the way, I've not written a proposal in nearly a year and a half. It's been amazing. And you found a way to do it so easily and so simply, and so that you didn't have to say no to the project because it felt like a huge job to just say yes and get the job done. You created a way for it to just be simple and easy. And I love that.
And I charged 30% more than my previous day rate had been, which at the time felt uncomfortable.
And does it
I
now?
wasn't sure that I was providing value at that price point. But after I'd done 2 and the clients were thrilled, I put the price up a little bit.
I love that.
And it was great.
Amazing. So you said, at the time it didn't feel comfortable. Does it feels comfortable now? That sounds like.
Well, that's my new minimum day price.
Oh,
so what felt uncomfortable in July last year, I'm not considering days below that price anymore. I've got a spreadsheet of my 4 offers going forward, and that price that I did the first 2 of the 5 VIP days at is now my minimum project price.
I love it. So we spoke about the investment of the mastermind. Did you make that investment back?
Ooh, I would say yes. I made it back in the VIP days that I sold, because prior to that, so I sold the 5 VIP days. Yeah, that would have been about the same price as I paid for the mastermind. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it would be in that zone of the total of those 5 VIP days. That those projects might have been projects that I would have done, but I would have wasted a lot of hours in the lead up trying to work out a price, and then probably whittling myself down going, oh, I don't think the client will pay this much, and maybe I should charge less and things like that. So yes, I would say I probably did make the cost of the mastermind back in that period. Plus also, being booked out for 6 weeks beyond. So before going into the mastermind, I was not fully booked. And the weeks that I was busy were busy because I was doing lots of scrappy little projects for multiple clients in a day. So I was busy, but I also wasn't fully booked. It was sort of weird. So I would do like 2 hours for one client in the morning and 2 hours for another client in the afternoon. And then Wednesday morning, I might go back to the first client and do revisions. So like another half an hour or something, and then do 3 hours for a different client on Wednesday. So all these little projects and the context switching between them meant that I felt busy, but I was actually not fully booked. And I was not fully booked to the potential of that day rate. So it was an interesting change. The no proposals and only wanting to work on one client a day. So now that's my new minimum day rate, was a big change for me.
Excellent. I love that. Okay, thank you. I'm going to let you go now, Zoe, but just 2 things. The first thing is I want to let you know that when you did the mastermind, it was a 10-week mastermind. It's now going to be a 12-week mastermind with, in the middle of the mastermind, kind of halfway-ish through, there's going to be a 2-week implementation period.
That's a good idea.
Yes, where there are no new core training released. It's just time for you to just breathe, and then kind of intake everything that's come your way and figure out what it is that you haven't been able to implement already that you need these extra 2 weeks to implement, with of course the continued support of the Slack training, the Slack group, and then also the Ask Me Anything course as well. So what do you think of that?
I think that's better. Now, I know the reason why you didn't do it that way for our cohort is because we were on the clock for your little baby arriving. Yeah.
The baby was coming.
You saying we were wrapping up the mastermind like 2 weeks before the due date or something. And I thought that could be fine, or it could be not fine.
It's so funny. I was like, baby, do not come. I really thought that he was going to be late because my first son was so late. And I was just like, there's no way this baby's coming earlier. He actually came on his due date, bang on the due date. Yeah.
That's very rare. Not many babies do that.
It did work well. So I think the mastermind finished on the 23rd, and I was due on the 20th of the next month. So I gave myself a few weeks, but enough. Right. Yeah. Right. But the other reason, because I think I could have squeezed a couple more weeks out for that mastermind. I could have made it 12 weeks, but I also felt like the intensity of it worked in that it was focused and it gave people something to focus on. And it was a short burst of like intense focus. However, I love that and I stand by that, but I think that 2-week space in the middle is just what everyone will need.
I think it's good because it's easy to get just a little bit behind and then feel like everyone's moved on without you. So having that little break in the middle gives people a catch up, a chance to catch up and or do a little bit of implementing if they've caught up or they're on time with all the content, but they want to try something out, like setting up a VIP day, highly recommend it. That's a really great thing to have in the middle, is that little break for either catch up or just some thinking space, because there's a lot of content, there's a lot of information. And once you've watched the video and downloaded the content into your brain, there's worksheets to do, and then thinking about how this is going to work for you in your life and your business, and then having a play with some different ideas, and then going for a walk or having a shower or sleeping on it and that kind of thing, to see how it feels once the idea of how to do something is in your brain. You need some time to let it settle, I think. So that break gives a bit more breathing space. I think that sounds really nice.
Yes, I love that. And the other thing is, I've put a restriction on kind of who can join, in that your business needs to be in existence. You need to have worked with clients in order to join. Instead of it being a case of, I'm doing this right now and I know I definitely want to set up a copywriting business, so I'm going to join this mastermind. That is not an option anymore. And that's a
good choice.
Yeah.
And particularly since you have an offer for people who are just starting out their copywriting business as well, because you've got Be Your Own Copywriter. That's the kind of starting point. So that's not to say that someone who does this mastermind, who is just starting to set up a business and has never done it before, can't get something valuable out of it. They absolutely would. But I think you'd get a lot more out of it if you've been through maybe 6 months or a year first, not to put a specific time on it, but a little bit, that you've tried out a few different types of projects and had a few good clients and dud clients, or maybe that's judgy. Maybe we say challenging clients, and you've learned from a couple of times you've underquoted and taken some time records and realized how that felt. And, I think you need to have a few of those positive and negative experiences to really feel the benefits of how big a transformation this program is, because the transformation of starting a business is big anyway, but going from maybe about a year or more of experiences and then getting the catapult of Like a Boss, from that you're past the newbie stage, you've worked a few things out, you know what you like, you know what you don't like, but you're still like not massively growing and not charging big bucks, to then go to be offering a really seamless premium service where everything runs smoothly and the client experience is amazing and you get feedback and like everything just works. That's when you'll get the really big, really transformative changes as soon as you start implementing the things from Like a Boss. I feel those changes internally in how I'm approaching the setup of my change of niche. And I want you to ask me again at the end of this year what's happening, because I think that will be a really big change.
I'm excited for you. And I promised that we'd do a part 2 on this, because of course your kind of trajectory was paused because of COVID. So we're going to do a part 2 and get back in touch with you and find out what else has been going on. But I just wanted to say that I agree with everything that you said, and that's the reason I put this restriction on it, minus the timestamps. Okay, so I considered saying, you had to have been a copywriter for 6 months or a year to join, but I didn't. And the only reason I haven't is because by the time I was copywriting for 5 months, I was way beyond like where I should have been on paper. I think I'd had my first like 4.5K months by that point. And I could have done with this mastermind at that point, but I wouldn't have been able to join my own mastermind when I needed it, if I put that timestamp on it. So I've not put a timestamp on it. I've not said you have to have had your business for 6 months or 12 months or whatever else. But I have said that you need to have a copywriting business and you need to have experience with clients. Like you should have had clients. You should have had those experiences that Zoe said, where you've had some great clients and some, oh my God, what was you said challenging clients. There we go.
Challenging.
Yes. because the types of people that, you know, this mastermind attracts is truly, you know, amazing copywriters who have the potential to be amazing business owners and who are probably further ahead than maybe people might expect them to be, or feel like they should be, if or they could be if only they had the right ingredients. So yeah, that I'm really happy with. It might upset a few people, but I'm really happy with that kind of restriction of you need to have been doing this, like it needs to be in existence, because like you said, it may help you and it probably would still help you, but you won't get the most value from it, which is what we're aiming for. So
one other thing is I had already chosen my niche before I started your mastermind. It wasn't 100% confirmed, but I was pretty sure that's what I wanted to do. But you don't have to have a niche before you start this mastermind. If you know what it is, great, go all in, do it. But if you don't know, there's a lot in this mastermind that will help you work out how you like to work, how you work best, who you like to work with, and that might help you narrow down your offers. Not necessarily that you have to declare a niche, because I know there are a lot of broad range copywriters who love doing, you know, the entire funnel from end to end, and they do so many different kinds of copywriting, and that's fine. But it will help you position yourself for the type of work that you want to do.
I totally agree. Thank you so much, Zoe. Again, I'm going to check in with you at the end of this year and see how everything's going. I'm so excited for you, and thank you so much for sharing your experience and for being so honest and open about the past few months. I know you've had a really tough kind of few months with COVID restrictions and all that stuff, which is hopefully in the past, and hopefully we're all moving forward with no more lockdowns, no more restrictions, and Zoe is free to be the amazing, you know, business owner you're meant to be.
Beautiful butterfly coming out of the cocoon in my new niche.
Thank you, Zoe. And if you are interested in joining the mastermind, the doors are now open at the time of me recording this. So hit the link in the show notes, and I'll see you inside, I hope. Thanks, Zoe.
Thank you.